Okay, this is DonnieRockett coming to you from Frisco, Texas. Pole position Raceway.
Does this lap count right now? Turn me up.
I was checking with the employee right there to find out if the lap count started immediately as you pulled out of the pit area. Sometimes they wait until you come around and cross the start-finish line for the first time, and that's the start of your first lap. These started right away. So the very first time that I actually crossed the start-finish line, that was lap 1. The reason I was inquiring when talking to the employee, this is my second race, by the way. I had already done one. So I talked to him a little bit in between races, got some pointers on the line. But anyways, I asked him, I said, how long are the races? And he said they're just 12 laps. So I wanted to find out, when my 12 laps were going to start. For me, I ended up doing, on average, I'd say 24, maybe a little bit less, 24-second laps. So race time, if you're in that range for speed, you're going to get about 5.5 minutes of race time. It's a little on the light side to what I'm used to, but it was still pretty fun, and I understood why they had to keep it to that level with the electric karts. They want to keep them energized. They don't want to deplete them too much. You start pushing them up around 15 or 20 laps, and you have some issues. As you notice, I had some troubles navigating that last corner back there. They're a little bit slick. The back end's a little heavier on these than the gasoline karts that I race at my local track. And I'm in those a lot. I do the league nights at my local track, so most of my time is spent in a gas kart. So I had a little bit of a learning curve for going around these corners. Even though they were heavy in the back, they would still push. Well, they would push really hard sometimes, so you really had to get off the gas back there. Coming around, I'll just tell you what I ended up doing for this race. So as you approach the start-finish line, I would keep it relatively tight, obviously, right there. You would have to let off the gas as you approach that little S section, but you could hammer it halfway through and hammer it down to here. You really had to brake well there and basically roll this with very little throttle action through there, just kind of blipping it here or there is what I would do. But once you pulled out of there, all those last turns, that's all at full throttle. So I'm getting ready to come around. I believe at the start of the next lap, I'm going to make an attempt to get my fastest lap time of the day by trying to set up and hit the start-finish line almost as straight as possible with the least amount of distance so that I might knock just a tad bit of time off. So as you can see, I went way out. I was able to keep it pretty pegged through that section. I got down here, I actually hit this pretty good, not like a 2 laps or so before. Rolled through all that pretty good, stayed tight to the barriers and didn't wash out. Hit that at a good angle, then just hammered it all the way through here. My plan was just to drive straight through the finish line right through there, but I didn't really want to hit the wall, so I angled it in, but I didn't let off the gas. So I ended up getting a 23.6 on that lap, which got me third of the week, third fastest of the week, which wasn't too bad. Got about 3 or 4 laps left in the video. These all, I didn't really do any of the dive bombing of the finish line that much. But I did start going through it a little bit harder, and it seemed to not have a negative effect. If I set out wide like that, I could still hit those pretty straight. So all of these laps right now are in the 23-second zone. But again, these karts handled well, stayed strong for the entire race, which is something that I always pay attention to with the electric karts. This is the second pole position I've been to, so they're 2 for 2 in being good facilities, and I don't have any complaints. And I would recommend going to this place. Staff was pretty friendly. They actually had a party right before I got there, so the karts are pretty warmed up. But everybody cleared out, so I really didn't have anybody to race against. Would have been nice to go against somebody else that was fast. So that's the end of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm DonnieRockett. This was the pole position in Frisco, Texas. See you soon.